Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to rise. It is time to rebuild and reorganize not only the external world around us, but the very foundation of who we are. Every human being has been endowed with unique potential, a purpose that is greater than our past, greater than our failures, and greater than our circumstances. Yet, far too many of us lie beneath the fullness of who we are meant to be. Today, I want to challenge you to rise up and begin the process of rebuilding and reorganizing yourself for the future. First, let us understand this truth: rebuilding starts from within. You cannot change the world around you if you have not first decided to change the world inside you. The power to rebuild lies not in the circumstances, but in your mindset, in the way you see yourself. You were born with a purpose, but you must choose to walk in that purpose every day. Your past mistakes, your setbacks, and even your failures do not define you. It is your vision for tomorrow that will shape you today. The process of rebuilding begins with self-reflection. Take a moment to look inward. Ask yourself, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What am I willing to change? What will I do differently? Understanding where you are is the first step in determining where you need to go. And let me tell you this, no one can rebuild their life without first facing the reality of where they stand. Acknowledge your past, but do not allow it to be your prison. The past is a lesson, not a sentence. Once you know where you stand, it's time to reorganize. Reorganizing is about realigning your priorities, your habits, and your actions to reflect the vision you have for your life. It is not enough to say, I want change. You must take steps every single day to manifest that change. It starts with taking inventory of your time. How are you spending your days? Are you investing in your future or wasting precious moments? Reorganize your time to reflect your true purpose. Your time is the one thing you can never get back. Next, reorganize your relationships. Who you associate with will determine the direction of your life. Your circle should be filled with people who push you toward greatness, not those who drag you back into old patterns. If you are surrounded by negativity, it is time to reorganize. If you want to become great, you must align yourself with greatness. Surround yourself with people who challenge you, encourage you, and believe in your potential. After reorganizing your relationships, it's time to reorganize your resources. This includes your finances, your energy, your talents, and your skills. Every resource you have must be stewarded with wisdom and purpose. Stop spending time on things that do not add value to your life. Your energy must be focused on your goals, your dreams, and the people who matter most. Manage your resources wisely and invest in what will bring about your highest potential. Lastly, let us never forget that rebuilding and reorganizing are not one-time events, they are processes. Every day presents a new opportunity to rebuild yourself, to reorganize your life. This is not about perfection. It is about consistent progress. Rebuilding is not for the faint of heart. It is for those who are willing to look beyond their current circumstances and see the greatness that is waiting to be realized. You are a masterpiece in the making. You are a work of art, but you must be willing to put in the work to transform. As you rebuild and reorganize, know that it is not just for your benefit alone. The world is waiting for you to show up in your full potential. The world is waiting for you to take your place, to become the leader you were always destined to be. So today, make a decision. Rebuild your life. Reorganize your priorities. Take the steps necessary to align your thoughts, your actions, and your resources with the greatness that lies within you. The time is now, and the future belongs to those who are willing to rebuild and reorganize today. Rebuilding starts from within. This foundational truth is at the core of every great transformation. When we talk about rebuilding, we are not simply referring to the act of fixing broken things in our environment or restructuring the world around us. Rebuilding is about looking inward and confronting the very core of who we are. It is about realigning our thoughts, emotions, behaviors, and mindset with a higher purpose. The process of rebuilding ourselves begins with an inner understanding that change cannot occur externally without first being cultivated within. This is a reality that every successful person understands, whether they are aware of it or not. It is easy to become fixated on the external circumstances of our lives. We look at our situations, our failures, and the obstacles that stand before us, and we begin to believe that these external factors are the primary cause of our struggles. But the truth is that the root cause of most challenges lies within us. Our thoughts, beliefs, and attitudes shape the way we experience the world. They dictate how we respond to adversity, how we interact with others, and how we interpret every event that occurs. If we are to rebuild, We must start by looking at the lens through which we see the world, and more importantly, the lens through which we see ourselves. One of the first steps in rebuilding from within is recognizing that we are the creators of our own reality. This means taking full responsibility for our lives, acknowledging that we have the power to shape our future, no matter how difficult the present may seem. Many people are quick to blame external factors for their circumstances, be it their upbringing, their environment, or even the people around them. While these things certainly play a role in shaping our lives, they do not determine our ultimate potential. Our potential is not dependent on what happens to us. It is dependent on how we respond to what happens. We can choose to let external forces define us, or we can choose to redefine ourselves and our circumstances from within. To begin this process of rebuilding, we must first examine our mindset. Our mindset is the lens through which we interpret every experience in life. It determines how we perceive challenges, setbacks, and opportunities. So the person with a fixed mindset sees failure as an end, as a reflection of their inability to succeed. They believe that their abilities are predetermined and cannot be changed. On the other hand, a person with a growth mindset views failure as a stepping stone, an opportunity to learn and improve. They believe that their abilities are not fixed but can be developed through effort and perseverance. The difference between these two mindsets is the difference between stagnation and growth, between rebuilding and remaining in the same place. If we are to rebuild ourselves, we must adopt a growth mindset, one that recognizes that challenges are not obstacles but opportunities for transformation. Rebuilding from within also requires us to confront the stories we tell ourselves. We all have internal narratives that we believe about who we are and what we are capable of. These stories are often shaped by past experiences, societal influences, and the messages we receive from the people around us. If we have faced rejection, failure, or disappointment in the past, it is easy to internalize these experiences and begin to believe that we are not worthy of success or happiness. These limiting beliefs can hold us captive, preventing us from taking the necessary steps to rebuild and grow. The first step in rebuilding is rewriting these stories. We must challenge the negative beliefs that have kept us stuck and replace them with empowering narratives that reflect our true potential. This process of rebuilding from within is not an overnight fix. It requires consistency, patience, and a willingness to confront our deepest fears and insecurities. It is easy to get caught up in the idea of instant transformation, but true rebuilding takes time. It is a journey that requires us to be kind to ourselves, to recognize that growth is a gradual process and that setbacks are a part of that process. Each day presents a new opportunity to make progress, and every small victory along the way contributes to the greater transformation. As we rebuild from within, we are not simply changing our circumstances, we are transforming ourselves into the people we were always meant to be. One of the most powerful ways to rebuild from within is through the practice of self-awareness. Self-awareness is the ability to observe and reflect on our thoughts, feelings, and actions. It is the capacity to notice our patterns of behavior and recognize when we are falling into negative habits or thought processes. Self-awareness allows us to step outside of ourselves and view our lives objectively, which is crucial for growth. Without self-awareness, we are unable to identify the areas of our lives that need to be rebuilt. We cannot change what we do not acknowledge. When we become aware of our weaknesses, our triggers, and our limiting beliefs, we can begin to take intentional action to change them. Self-awareness is the foundation of self-mastery, and self-mastery is the key to rebuilding. Another important aspect of rebuilding from within is cultivating emotional resilience. Life is full of ups and downs, and we cannot control every situation that arises. However, we can control how we respond to those situations. Emotional resilience is the ability to bounce back from adversity, to remain calm and focused in the face of challenges. It is the capacity to manage our emotions and stay grounded even when life feels chaotic. Rebuilding requires emotional resilience because the road to transformation is rarely smooth. There will be obstacles, setbacks, and moments of doubt. In these moments, it is essential to remain emotionally resilient and keep moving forward. Resilience is not about avoiding pain or difficulty. It is about learning how to navigate through it and come out stronger on the other side. To rebuild from within, we must also embrace the power of forgiveness. Holding on to past hurts and resentments is like carrying a heavy burden that weighs us down and prevents us from moving forward. Forgiveness is not about excusing the actions of others. It is about freeing ourselves from the grip of anger, bitterness, and regret. When we forgive, we release the hold that the past has over us and create space for healing and growth. Forgiveness is a powerful act of self-love and self-care. It allows us to let go of the emotional baggage that prevents us from stepping into our full potential. As we rebuild, we must also recognize the importance of self-care. Rebuilding from within requires us to take care of our physical, mental, and emotional well-being. We cannot expect to transform if we are neglecting our health, our minds, or our spirits. Taking care of ourselves is not a selfish act, it is a necessary part of the rebuilding process. Self-care allows us to recharge, to restore our energy, and to stay focused on our goals. It is essential for maintaining the strength and resilience needed to rebuild and reorganize our lives. Finally, rebuilding from within requires a commitment to continuous growth. Rebuilding is not a one-time event, it is a lifelong journey. There will always be new challenges, new opportunities, and new areas for growth. As we rebuild, we must commit to lifelong learning, to constantly expanding our knowledge and skills, and to embracing new experiences that will stretch us. The process of rebuilding never ends, and that is what makes it so powerful. Every step we take, every lesson we learn, brings us closer to the person we are meant to become. Rebuilding starts from within, because true change begins with the transformation of the heart and mind. It is not enough to change the external circumstances, we must first change ourselves. The power to rebuild is within each and every one of us. It is not dependent on our past, our environment, or our circumstances. It is dependent on our willingness to look inward, to take responsibility for our lives, and to commit to the process of transformation. As we rebuild from within, we unlock the limitless potential that resides within us, and we step into the fullness of our purpose and destiny. Self-reflection and acknowledging reality are two of the most powerful tools in the process of rebuilding oneself. Without self-reflection, we are left to operate on autopilot, repeating the same patterns, making the same mistakes, and failing to recognize the opportunities for growth that surround us. Without acknowledging reality, we risk living in denial, clinging to false narratives, and allowing our past to dictate our future. Both self-reflection and acknowledging reality are essential in the journey of transformation because they provide us with the clarity and understanding necessary to move forward. They help us shed the layers of illusion and uncover the truth of who we are, where we stand, and where we are headed. Only then can we begin the real work of rebuilding and reorganizing ourselves. Self-reflection is an intentional process of looking inward. It involves taking time to pause, to examine our thoughts, feelings, behaviors, and actions, and to evaluate whether they are in alignment with our true goals and values. It's a practice that demands honesty, vulnerability, and the willingness to face both our strengths and our weaknesses. Self-reflection is not about judging ourselves, but about gaining a clear, objective understanding of who we are at this moment. It is an ongoing process, a tool that we can use at any time to recalibrate our course and ensure that we are on the right path. When we engage in self-reflection, we create a space for growth and personal development. We are no longer reacting to life passively, but are instead actively engaging with our own experience, learning from it, and using it to shape a better future. The first step in self-reflection is to ask the right questions. These are the questions that force us to look beyond our usual thoughts and habits. Questions such as, what do I truly want from life? What do I value most? What are the recurring patterns in my life that seem to hold me back? How do I react to challenges, and what does that say about me? These questions compel us to step outside of ourselves and observe our own lives from a detached perspective. They encourage us to dig deep into our emotions, motivations, and behaviors, and to consider whether they are serving us or hindering us. When we ask the right questions, we are better equipped to understand the deeper reasons behind our actions and to recognize the patterns that have led us to our current circumstances. Once we have asked the right questions, the next step is to examine our thoughts and beliefs. Our beliefs shape how we view the world and how we respond to it. They act as filters, determining what we accept as true and what we reject. Our beliefs can empower us or they can limit us. Many of us carry around limiting beliefs that have been instilled in us over time. These beliefs may have originated from our upbringing, our society, or past experiences. They may have once served a purpose, protecting us from harm or helping us navigate difficult situations. However, as we grow and evolve, these beliefs may no longer serve us. In fact, they may be holding us back, preventing us from reaching our full potential. Through self-reflection, we are able to identify these limiting beliefs and challenge them. We can ask ourselves, is this belief still serving me? Is it helping me become the person I want to be? What would happen if I let go of this belief? As we reflect on our beliefs, it is also important to examine our emotions. Emotions are often our guiding compass, signaling to us what is important or what needs attention. However, they can also cloud our judgment and lead us astray if we do not pay attention to them consciously. Emotions like fear, guilt, and anger can prevent us from making clear, rational decisions and can push us into negative behaviors. In order to rebuild ourselves, we must learn to acknowledge and understand our emotions without being controlled by them. Self-reflection gives us the opportunity to observe our emotional responses, understand why we feel the way we do, and decide whether those feelings are helping us move forward or keeping us stuck. By recognizing our emotional triggers and the underlying beliefs that cause them, we gain the ability to manage our emotions in a healthier and more productive way. Self-reflection also involves assessing our actions. It is one thing to think about change and to recognize the need for transformation. It is another thing entirely to take action. Many people spend their entire lives wishing for change, hoping for things to improve, but they never take the necessary steps to make those changes a reality. Through self-reflection, we can identify where our actions are out of alignment with our goals and values. If we say we want to be successful but consistently fail to take consistent action toward our goals, we must ask ourselves why that is. Self-reflection allows us to identify where we may be sabotaging our own success, where fear, doubt, or procrastination are holding us back. It is through the honest examination of our actions that we can begin to take ownership of our behavior and make the necessary adjustments to create the change we desire. Acknowledging reality is equally important in the process of rebuilding. Too often we allow ourselves to live in denial, refusing to face the reality of our circumstances. We may convince ourselves that things are fine when in truth they are not. We may pretend that we have everything under control, even though we are struggling internally. Acknowledging reality requires us to be brutally honest with ourselves about where we are in our lives. It means accepting the present moment as it is without distortion or denial, and recognizing that we cannot change what we refuse to acknowledge. Acknowledging reality does not mean that we accept our circumstances as permanent. It simply means that we are fully aware of what is going on and are not hiding from the truth. To acknowledge reality, we must first accept that we are where we are for a reason. Our current situation is a reflection of our past thoughts, choices, and actions. This is not to say that we are solely responsible for everything that has happened to us, but rather that we have a role to play in our own experiences. Acknowledging reality requires us to take responsibility for our own lives and to stop blaming external factors for our problems. This is not a matter of guilt or shame, it is a matter of empowerment. When we acknowledge reality, we stop giving away our power to external circumstances and take ownership of our lives. This is the first step in transforming our reality. Once we have accepted where we are, we must then assess where we want to be. Acknowledging reality involves getting clear about our goals, our vision, and the person we want to become. We must take an honest look at our current circumstances and determine what needs to change in order for us to move forward. This requires us to be willing to let go of the familiar, to release old patterns and beliefs that no longer serve us. It requires us to embrace discomfort, to step into the unknown, and to trust that we have the ability to create the life we desire. Acknowledging reality is not a passive act, it is an active choice to confront the truth of our situation and to take responsibility for changing it. Self-reflection and acknowledging reality are intertwined. Without self-reflection, we cannot fully understand our current reality, and without acknowledging reality, we cannot see where self-reflection is needed. Together, these two practices form the foundation of personal growth and transformation. They provide us with the clarity, insight, and understanding we need to rebuild ourselves and create a better future. Through self-reflection, we examine our thoughts, beliefs, emotions, and actions, and through acknowledging reality, we accept where we are and take responsibility for changing it. This powerful combination allows us to move forward with purpose, to take control of our lives, and to create the changes we desire. It is through this process that we begin to rebuild ourselves from the inside out, step by step, day by day. Reorganizing your priorities and time is a fundamental aspect of rebuilding your life, and it is one of the most transformative steps you can take toward achieving your true potential. Time is one of the most valuable resources we have, and how we choose to allocate it directly impacts the quality and direction of our lives. When we reorganize our priorities and time, we are essentially deciding what matters most to us and aligning our actions accordingly. It's easy to get lost in the busyness of daily life, but without a clear understanding of our priorities and a structured approach to how we manage our time, we risk living a life of reaction rather than one of intention. Reorganizing our priorities and time requires deep self-awareness, a willingness to challenge our current habits, and the courage to make decisions that will serve our greater purpose. The first step in reorganizing your priorities is to gain clarity about what matters most to you. This may seem obvious, but for many people, their priorities are unclear because they have never taken the time to reflect on them. We live in a world full of distractions, pressures, and expectations, and it's easy to get caught up in what others think we should prioritize. Family, work, social media, obligations, and commitments often consume our time without us ever questioning whether they align with our true values and goals. To reorganize your priorities, you must first engage in self-reflection to identify what truly matters to you. What are the things that give you joy, fulfillment, and a sense of purpose? What are the values that you want to guide your life? When you clearly define these priorities, you create a roadmap for how you want to live, and everything else can be measured against them. This process of identifying your priorities also involves asking tough questions about where your time is currently being spent. You might find that a significant portion of your time is being spent on activities that don't align with your highest values or long-term goals. This might be the result of habits, societal pressures, or simply a lack of awareness. It's easy to fill our days with small, inconsequential tasks that seem urgent in the moment, but ultimately do not contribute to our overall well-being or success. For example, many people spend hours on social media or engage in time-consuming activities that distract them from more important work. The key to reorganizing your priorities is to make an honest assessment of how your time is currently being spent and to determine if it is in alignment with what truly matters to you. Once you have a clear understanding of your priorities, the next step is to evaluate how you are currently managing your time. Time management is not just about keeping busy or getting through tasks. It is about making intentional decisions about how to spend your time in a way that aligns with your goals and values. One of the most powerful tools in time management is understanding the difference between urgent and important tasks. Many people spend a lot of their time dealing with urgent matters, phone calls, emails, meetings, and day-to-day obligations that are often reactive in nature. While these tasks may seem pressing in the moment, they may not be the most important in terms of long-term fulfillment or success. By reorganizing your time, you prioritize important tasks, those that contribute to your long-term goals, personal growth, and fulfillment over urgent, less impactful activities. This process of reorganizing your time also requires a commitment to saying no to things that do not serve your higher purpose. Saying no is one of the most powerful tools in time management, but it can be incredibly difficult, especially for those who struggle with people pleasing or the fear of missing out. However, when you say yes to everything, you end up saying no to your own well-being, growth, and goals. Learning to say no is essential for creating space in your life for what truly matters. This might mean saying no to social invitations, work obligations, or other activities that take time away from your most important pursuits. Another key aspect of reorganizing your priorities and time is creating systems and structures that support your goals. It's not enough to simply decide what matters most to you. You must also create an actionable plan to ensure that your time is being allocated toward those priorities. This involves setting specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound goals that align with your vision. By breaking down your larger goals into smaller, actionable tasks, you can create a clear plan for how to make consistent progress toward your objectives. For example, if your priority is to improve your health, you might set a goal to exercise for 30 minutes each day and create a schedule that includes time for physical activity. If your priority is personal growth, you might set aside time each day for reading, journaling, or learning new skills. Creating systems and structures also involves identifying and eliminating time-wasting habits that are not aligned with your priorities. For many people, time is lost to distractions such as excessive television watching, social media scrolling, or other unproductive activities. Reorganizing your time means consciously eliminating or reducing these time-wasting behaviors and replacing them with actions that are aligned with your values. This may involve setting boundaries with technology, scheduling specific times for work or relaxation, and creating a routine that helps you stay focused and productive. By developing systems that work for you, you create an environment where your time is being used intentionally and effectively. To successfully reorganize your time, it is also essential to maintain a balance between work, rest, and play. Many people fall into the trap of overworking, thinking that the more they do, the more successful they will become. However, this mindset often leads to burnout and exhaustion. It's important to recognize that rest and relaxation are just as important as hard work in achieving your goals. When you prioritize rest and recreation, you replenish your energy, clear your mind, and come back to your work with renewed focus and creativity. By reorganizing your time to include balance, you ensure that you are not just achieving success, but doing so in a way that is sustainable and fulfilling. Reorganizing your priorities and time also requires an ongoing commitment to review and adjust your plans as needed. Life is constantly changing and new challenges and opportunities will arise. It's important to regularly reassess your priorities and goals to ensure that you are staying on track. This might mean adjusting your schedule, revising your goals, or even reevaluating your values as your life evolves. Regular check-ins with yourself help you stay focused and aligned with your greater purpose, ensuring that your time is always being spent on what truly matters. In addition, reorganizing your priorities and time requires a mindset shift from scarcity to abundance. Many people approach time management with the belief that there is never enough time to do everything they want. This mindset leads to stress, overwhelm, and a sense of inadequacy. However, when you shift your perspective to one of abundance, believing that there is always enough time to focus on what matters, you create space for greater creativity, productivity, and fulfillment. By reorganizing your time with an abundance mindset, you are no longer chasing after time, but rather making the most of the time you have, knowing that it is sufficient for your needs. Ultimately, reorganizing your priorities and time is about living with intention. It is about consciously deciding how you will spend your days, aligning your actions with your deepest values and goals. When you take control of your time and priorities, you take control of your life. You become the architect of your own success and fulfillment, rather than a passive participant in a life that is shaped by external forces. By reorganizing your priorities and time, you set yourself on a path toward a life that is meaningful, purposeful, and aligned with your true self. The process requires effort, discipline, and the willingness to make tough decisions, but the rewards are immeasurable. You gain the time, energy, and focus needed to create the life you truly desire. Reorganizing your relationships is one of the most profound and transformative steps you can take in rebuilding your life. Relationships, whether personal or professional, play an essential role in shaping our experiences, happiness, and success. Yet many of us fail to fully assess the quality and impact of the relationships we cultivate. Our relationships influence our thoughts, actions, emotions, and even our ability to achieve our goals. If we want to rebuild ourselves and create a life that aligns with our values and aspirations, we must intentionally reorganize our relationships. This process is not about cutting people off or abandoning those who matter to us. Rather, it's about evaluating the health and purpose of our relationships and making the necessary adjustments to foster connections that support our growth, happiness, and overall well-being. At the heart of reorganizing your relationships is the understanding that not all relationships are created equal. Some relationships are uplifting, empowering, and enriching, while others may drain us, hold us back, or even harm us. One of the most important things you can do when reorganizing your relationships is to assess which relationships are nourishing and which are toxic. This involves being honest with yourself about the people in your life and the dynamics that exist within these relationships. It's easy to fall into the trap of maintaining relationships simply out of obligation, familiarity, or fear of confrontation. However, the reality is that maintaining unhealthy relationships often comes at a great cost to our mental, emotional, and physical health. By reorganizing your relationships, you give yourself permission to distance yourself from those who bring negativity, stress, and dysfunction into your life. When we talk about toxic relationships, we are referring to relationships that consistently leave us feeling drained, unsupported, or undermined. These relationships may be marked by behavior such as manipulation, dishonesty, disrespect, or lack of empathy. Toxic relationships can be found in all areas of our lives, among family members, friends, colleagues, and even romantic partners. While it may be difficult to admit that certain relationships are harmful, it is crucial to face this truth if you want to move forward and rebuild your life. Reorganizing your relationships may require you to set boundaries, create distance, or even sever ties with individuals who are negatively impacting your well-being. Doing so is not an act of selfishness, it is an act of self-preservation. When you remove toxic influences from your life, you make space for healthier, more supportive relationships to flourish. On the flip side, reorganizing your relationships also means investing time and energy into cultivating positive, supportive, and meaningful connections. These relationships are the ones that nourish you, challenge you to grow, and provide you with encouragement and love. Positive relationships are built on trust, mutual respect, and understanding. They empower you to be your best self, celebrate your successes, and offer support during difficult times. These are the relationships that lift you up and propel you forward. When reorganizing your relationships, it's essential to identify and nurture these positive connections. Spend more time with the people who truly add value to your life, who encourage you to be better, and who inspire you to reach your goals. By doing so, you strengthen the foundation upon which your personal growth and success are built. A key element of cultivating positive relationships is communication. Communication is the cornerstone of any healthy relationship. Without clear, open, and honest communication, misunderstandings, resentment, and distance can easily creep in. Reorganizing your relationships involves learning how to communicate more effectively with the people who matter most to you. This includes not only expressing your own thoughts and feelings, but also being a good listener. Effective communication requires vulnerability, empathy, and the willingness to understand the perspective of others. When you communicate openly and honestly, you build trust and create deeper, more meaningful connections. Reorganizing your relationships might require you to have difficult conversations, whether it's addressing an issue with a friend, setting boundaries with a family member, or discussing your needs with a romantic partner. While these conversations can be uncomfortable, they are essential for creating relationships that are aligned with your needs, values, and goals. Another crucial aspect of reorganizing your relationships is understanding the concept of reciprocity. Healthy relationships are built on a give and take dynamic. They involve mutual respect, support, and effort from both parties. One-sided relationships where one person consistently gives without receiving anything in return can quickly lead to burnout, frustration, and resentment. If you find that you are always the one giving in your relationships, it may be time to reevaluate these connections. Reorganizing your relationships involves identifying relationships where reciprocity is lacking and addressing this imbalance. It's important to recognize that you deserve relationships where your efforts, time, and energy are valued and reciprocated. By prioritizing reciprocal relationships, you ensure that your emotional and mental well-being is supported and that you are not giving more than you are receiving. The process of reorganizing your relationships also involves setting clear boundaries. Boundaries are the invisible lines that protect your personal space, time, and energy. Healthy boundaries are essential for maintaining balance in your relationships and ensuring that you do not compromise your own well-being for the sake of others. Reorganizing your relationships may require you to establish or reinforce boundaries with certain individuals. This could involve setting limits on how much time you spend with someone, deciding what behavior you are willing to tolerate, or being clear about your emotional needs. Setting boundaries is not about pushing people away, it's about ensuring that your relationships are mutually respectful and supportive. When you set boundaries, you teach others how to treat you, and you create an environment where healthy, fulfilling relationships can thrive. That equally important is the practice of letting go of relationships that no longer serve your growth. As we evolve and change, some relationships naturally fall away because they no longer align with who we are or where we are going. Reorganizing your relationships also means learning to forgive. Holding on to grudges, resentment, or anger from past relationships can weigh you down emotionally and prevent you from moving forward. While forgiveness does not mean excusing or forgetting the harm that was done, it is about releasing the emotional hold that past relationships have on you. Forgiveness frees you from the past and allows you to create a future that is not dictated by past wounds. Reorganizing your relationships may involve forgiving others for their mistakes, as well as forgiving yourself for any mistakes you have made in your own relationships. Forgiveness is a powerful tool for emotional healing and is essential for rebuilding your life and creating healthier, more fulfilling relationships moving forward. In the process of reorganizing your relationships, it is also important to focus on quality rather than quantity. It's easy to get caught up in the number of people we know or how many friends we have on social media, but the true value of a relationship is not measured by its quantity, but by its quality. Reorganizing your relationships means focusing on building deeper, more meaningful connections with a smaller group of people rather than spreading yourself too thin. By investing in quality relationships, you create a strong support network that is there for you through the highs and lows of life. Finally, it is important to remember that reorganizing your relationships is an ongoing process. As your life evolves, so too will your relationships. New people will enter your life, and some old relationships may fade away. Rebuilding and reorganizing your relationships is not a one-time event, but a continual process of evaluation, adjustment, and growth. By regularly reassessing the relationships in your life and ensuring that they align with your values and goals, you create a dynamic support system that will help you navigate life's challenges and pursue your dreams. Reorganizing your relationships is one of the most empowering steps you can take in creating a life that is fulfilling, purposeful, and aligned with your true self. Rebuilding is not a one-time event or a temporary fix. It is a continuous, ongoing process that requires constant evaluation, adaptation, and growth. Whether we are rebuilding after personal setbacks, professional challenges, or life transitions, the process of rebuilding is a journey that unfolds over time. It is not about reaching a final destination or achieving a single moment of success. Rather, it is about committing to the continual evolution of ourselves, our lives, and our circumstances. Rebuilding involves not only overcoming obstacles and overcoming adversity, but also embracing the ongoing changes that life brings, learning from every experience, and constantly striving to become a better version of ourselves. When we think of rebuilding, we often envision a major life overhaul starting from scratch, picking up the pieces after something has fallen apart. While this might be part of the process, the true essence of rebuilding is in the constant refinement of our lives. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that rebuilding is something you do in response to crisis or failure, but rebuilding is, in fact, a lifelong journey. No matter where we are in life, there are always areas for growth, improvement, and reinvention. The process of rebuilding is something we should engage with continuously, not just in times of difficulty, but as part of an ongoing commitment to self-improvement. The idea of rebuilding as a continuous process is rooted in the understanding that change is a constant. Our circumstances, environments, relationships, and even our own perspectives are always evolving. In order to thrive in the face of change, we must continuously rebuild and adjust to the new conditions we encounter. The world around us is in a constant state of flux, and if we remain static, we risk being left behind. Therefore, to truly rebuild ourselves and our lives, we must learn to embrace change and view it as an opportunity for growth rather than as a threat. Rebuilding is about adaptability. It is about learning how to navigate the uncertainties and challenges of life while remaining focused on our long-term vision and goals. The continuous nature of rebuilding also means that we need to be patient with ourselves. Many people expect rapid results when they embark on a rebuilding journey. We live in a culture that values instant gratification and quick fixes, and as a result, we often believe that rebuilding should be a swift process. However, true rebuilding takes time. It requires steady, consistent effort and often involves overcoming setbacks and failures along the way. The road to rebuilding is rarely linear. There are often twists and turns, bumps in the road, and moments of uncertainty. It is important to acknowledge that rebuilding is a gradual process and that growth does not always happen overnight. Every step forward, no matter how small, is progress. Rebuilding as a continuous process also requires a mindset shift. Rather than seeing setbacks or challenges as obstacles, we need to reframe them as opportunities for learning. When we encounter difficulty, we often become discouraged, thinking that we have failed or that we are not making progress. However, the truth is that every challenge presents an opportunity to learn more about ourselves and our environment. By shifting our perspective, we begin to see failure not as a reason to give up, but as a stepping stone on the path toward greater success. Rebuilding is not about avoiding failure, but about learning how to move forward in spite of it. Every failure is a lesson that can propel you as closer to our goals, as long as we are willing to view it through a lens of growth and possibility. Another essential component of rebuilding is the need for self-reflection. Rebuilding is an inward journey as much as it is an outward one. It is about looking within and asking ourselves tough questions about who we are, what we want, and what we are willing to do to get there. Without regular self-reflection, it's easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle of life and lose sight of our true values and goals. Rebuilding requires us to pause, take a step back, and evaluate where we are and we want to go. This involves examining our beliefs, our habits, our relationships, and our mindset. It means being honest with ourselves about where we have been and where we are headed and making adjustments as necessary. Self-reflection is an essential part of the continuous rebuilding process because it allows us to stay grounded in our purpose and aligned with our vision. Rebuilding is also about maintaining resilience in the face of adversity. Life is full of challenges, and no matter how much we plan, prepare, or strive for success, obstacles will inevitably arise. Rebuilding is not just about bouncing back from setbacks, but also about building the mental and emotional resilience to face future challenges with strength and determination. Resilience is about developing the ability to stay focused and determined even when things don't go as planned. It involves learning how to manage stress, maintain a positive outlook, and keep going even when the road ahead seems uncertain. Resilience is key to the continuous process of rebuilding because it allows us to keep moving forward no matter how many times we fall or face obstacles. One of the most important aspects of rebuilding continuously is the willingness to reinvent ourselves. Over time, our interests, goals, and even our identities may shift. As we grow and evolve, we may discover new passions, desires, and aspirations. Rebuilding is about allowing ourselves the freedom to reinvent who we are and what we want at any given moment. It's about being open to change and being willing to let go of outdated beliefs, habits, and identities that no longer serve us. This process of reinvention is not something that happens once and then ends. It is something that we must continually engage with as we progress through different phases of our lives. Whether it's reinventing our careers, our relationships, or even our personal values, rebuilding requires the courage to let go of the old and embrace the new. Rebuilding as a continuous process also involves setting and resetting goals. While many people set long-term goals and work towards them, few take the time to reassess those goals regularly. Our priorities, values, and desires are constantly evolving, and as they change, so too should our goals. To rebuild continuously, we must be willing to adjust our goals in response to new information, new experiences, and new opportunities. Setting goals is an essential part of the rebuilding process, but it's equally important to remain flexible and willing to revise those goals when necessary. Flexibility in goal setting allows us to adapt to the shifting tides of life and continue making progress, even when our circumstances change. In addition to personal reinvention and goal setting, rebuilding requires a strong support system. It's easy to think of rebuilding as an individual effort, but the truth is that no one rebuilds in isolation. We all need a support network, whether it's family, friends, mentors, or colleagues, to help us along the way. Building and maintaining strong relationships with others is vital to our ability to rebuild continuously. These relationships provide us with the emotional support, guidance, and encouragement we need to keep going. They also help us stay accountable and motivated when we face difficulties. Rebuilding is not a solitary journey. It is a process that thrives in the context of healthy, supportive relationships. Lastly, rebuilding as a continuous process means taking care of our physical, mental, and emotional well-being. The demands of rebuilding can be exhausting, and it's easy to overlook the importance of self-care. However, if we are to rebuild continuously, we must prioritize our health and well-being. This involves getting enough rest, eating well, exercising regularly, and engaging in activities that promote relaxation and stress relief. It also involves taking care of our mental health by practicing mindfulness, engaging in positive self-talk, and seeking professional help when needed. Taking care of ourselves allows us to stay focused, energized, and resilient as we rebuild and continue our journey of growth. Rebuilding ultimately is a dynamic, ongoing process that never truly ends. It's about committing to growth, embracing change, and learning from every experience. Whether you're rebuilding after a personal crisis or simply striving to become the best version of yourself, the process of rebuilding is continuous. It requires patience, self-reflection, resilience, reinvention, and the willingness to adapt to life's inevitable changes. Rebuilding is not something you do once and then finish. It is a lifelong commitment to growth and evolution. It is an ongoing journey that allows you to create the life you desire, no matter what obstacles or challenges you encounter along the way.